Guys, we've done our first read. We've done our second read. We've done our third read. Basically, this is what I want to share with you. After my third read, I am going literally crazy. I'm doing everything possible, everything different I can to learn my words, to lock my words down. So I'm washing the dishes. I'm doing my lines. Skip jogging outside. I'm doing my lines. I wake up at 3 a.m. because MTN has decided to remind me that I should wear my mask and I can't go back to sleep. As I'm falling back to sleep, I'm like, Mama, Mama. I'm trying to learn my lines as much as possible. If someone is talking to me and for some reason I feel like, let me try that line, let me see how it works, I'm doing that. I'm singing my lines. I especially like singing my lines because you might seem weird when you are speaking your lines just on the road, walking by the street, but when you're singing them, you have a real chance of seeing how people respond to it. Do they listen to it? Do they do a quick turn when they hear that line? I like doing that. These are the tools I use. I'm air writing the monologue because I like using contrast. And I remember I told you that. So as my hand is doing this, I have to say it slower because I can't really write as the same speed that I'm speaking with. But as I'm doing that also, my hand is sort of like feeling tired. So my breath wants to accomplish another thing and my body wants to accomplish another thing. It works for me because it helps me with not getting stuck with how I read the monologue. Okay? Record yourself, audio, while you in a taxi doing something else. You're listening to yourself. I know the sound of your own voice might be annoying, but I feel like this is the time where we get used to ourselves. Okay, cool. So I've done that. With doing that, I go back to my monologue. I look at the images, the chunks that I've given titles to. Now, this is a good time to internalize. How do you internalize this monologue? So with images, it's literally like looking at a picture and zooming in. When you're looking at someone, you're like, oh, this person is so beautiful. And then you zoom in, like, but their eyes, I don't like so much. With their mouth, I don't like how their nose, something like that. So it's an image, it's a chunk. So now you get to zoom in the image. You're starting to internalize the monologue. What do you do when you zoom in? You have the chunk. You have quite an idea of what kind of breath you need when you're speaking or you're trying to portray this image. But now you zoom into image by image. You zoom into the image. You're trying to find the bits. How is this character feeling when they're saying this? Because, a person is they have different qualities and a lot of qualities. So you look into these images. You zoom into the images. Line by line, you go through the lines with your pencil. Maybe the character has a different thought in the same line. One line, a character can have 3 multiple thoughts, So you underline those bits. The character is no longer thinking like they were. They've changed their thought. They've noticed something else. They're speaking about something else. They're making reference to this now. You do that. I do it with kind of like a stroke. Is it called a stroke? Like this. Like a stroke. Beat. The character is thinking something else. So you zoom into the images. You give your beats. Now you have different qualities in your monologue. When your character is angry. When they're desperate. Because, for example, this is a prayer, right? A prayer can't be solemn the whole time. It can't be, like, if my little girl is saying, Mama, if she's saying something else or she moves on to that or it's still the same sentence, she could be desperate. She could be, Mama, Mama. She could be accusing the goddess. She could be thanksgiving. She could be felt with gratitude, you know. And prayer is also, it has different qualities. It is layered, it is textured, you know. So you look for those on this episode. And when you understand your beats, when you understand your emotional score, your breath score, this is when you start to internalize the issues of your character, because then you get to understand the impulses they've awakened in you. You get to think of the stories that cause those impulses. You get to have your own emotional through line, and then you get to it's almost like you are an emotional motherboard. You've experienced all of these things. You have your own feelings. So your character is coming to take from you ingredients in your cupboard, in that emotional motherboard. So Indalo, you can use this. Yes, you've never lost a puppy, but remember the time you lost a doll. Okay, so you use that emotion. How can I enhance this emotion? So it could be you need to console someone who's lost their mother. I've never really lost my mother. This is image. I've never really lost my mother, but internalizing and looking for bits would be, I've lost an aunt. And that is, it hurt me. It hurt me so deep. Maybe I can use this particular emotional experience to accentuate that impulse. So it's all about that. So you're internalizing at this point. By now you understand your character, you understand their journey, you're trying to figure out their emotional through line, you're trying to piece together why. It's all about why they're saying this. What do they want to awaken in the next person? Ne? Okay, cool. This is also what I like doing at this phase. Comprehension. I've been wondering why we learned comprehension at school and whatever, you know. There's a lot of things that we did at school that we're not using, but I try to use all of those skills and tools. So comprehension, because at this point when I'm trying to internalize, I need to make clear kind of choices, what I've used from my impulses to the character, what are the character's emotions, and at the same time I need to keep trying to write out this character. So this little girl is praying for Mother Mujaji. Mother Mujaji is in absentia at this point in the production. This character is calling for Mujaji because in her society they are dealing with this kind of issue. It's a cry. This is where I discover what the monologue is about. Okay. Comprehension helps me in saying, this is the character story, this is my story. So that when I need to make the character less of Indalo and more the girl, I keep going to the comprehension and I keep going to my own life story. Okay, so I make that contrast.